Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 73 of the weekly playback. I don't have too many games to talk about this week, but one game I am pretty excited to talk about, so let's get into that. Let's talk about the Princes of Florence. So this game is designed by Wolfgang Kramer, Richard Ulrich, and Jens Christopher Ulrich, and the art for this edition is done by Lucas Siegmund. So this game originally came out in the year 2000, but WizKids Games has published a new edition of this. This game is for 2 to 5 players. This is a review copy that I received. So the Princes of Florence is an auction bidding game and a tile placement game. So first I will go over how it plays, and then I will talk about my thoughts about this game. I played two-player games of this. So we played one game of it, and then we decided we liked it so much that we wanted to play it immediately afterwards. So first I will discuss how it plays, and I'll go over everything as I get to it, but just an overview of this main board. You have your round tracker up here, and I'll explain what these numbers are when I get to that part in the game. Here you're going to have the auction part of the game. So these are the things you're going to be bidding on. You'll have different landscape tiles up here, like you'll have a lake and like a pond or whatever. And then down here you have prestige cards, which will be face down, and those will give you endgame bonuses. You'll have recruitment cards face up here. You'll have some builder tokens and some gesture tokens. And then over here are all the different tiles that you can add into your own city of Florence. And then here are some freedom tokens, which you will be adding onto your player board. So each person has a character player board where you can add some freedom tokens here, and I'll get to what those mean in a little bit. And then over here you have some cards. So you have some bonus cards, which will hopefully give you some points, and then or some other ability. And then you have your profession cards face down. So basically each person is going to have this one main board in which you are building your city, and there are some restrictions to building. So when you first start building, you cannot place buildings adjacent to other buildings. However, buildings can go adjacent to landscape tiles. So each person is also going to have a character board. So the new edition, I think the old edition maybe just came with male characters, but now the new edition, all the boards have a female character that you can choose. So you can be the Princess of Florence if you wish. So really cool artwork. I just really love the artwork in this game. So yeah. So on your board, you are going to see an area for you to place freedom tokens if you are able to buy them, get them. And then here you'll see a spot for builder tokens. And when you place your first builder token, if you're able to get it, any buildings that you want to buy from then on will cost you 300 florins. And then if you get a second builder token, you have to place them in order. That will earn you 3 prestige points, but it will also allow you to place buildings adjacent to each other. If you get a third builder token, that will allow you to construct for free. You'll also get 3 prestige tokens, but you no longer have to pay for buildings, because typically you do have to pay for buildings if you want to place a building. So each person is going to start the game with a certain amount of money, and you are going to keep that hidden behind your player screen. And you are going to have all of these building tiles and landscape tiles and such on the board, as I showed, and same with these freedom tokens. So you are basically trying to bid on various things and place them into your city, and then you want to have different profession cards work. So basically how it goes at the beginning of a round, and there are 7 rounds in this game as indicated by the round tracker up here. So on your turn, you can do one of the following. So after bidding, so let me explain bidding first actually. So starting with the active player, they are going to choose which thing they want to bid on. So in a 3 to 5 player game, each landscape tile counts as a separate thing. But in a 2-player game, the landscape tile counts as one entity. So in a 2-player game, if you are bidding and you decide to bid on a landscape tile, then the other person cannot get a landscape tile, because everyone has the opportunity to get something during the auction bidding phase. So as the active player, let's decide I wanted to bid on a landscape tile, and I said I'm going to start the bid at, I think you start the bids at 300 if I remember correctly, 300 florins, but I could be wrong. Let's suppose it's 300, and let's say I start the bids at 300 and I win the landscape tile. So the next person will get to bid, but if they don't bid as high, then I would win it. Each person just gets one bid. So if you're outbid, then the person you're outbid by would win the tile. So then you place your pawn on it to indicate that you won that thing. So I would place my pawn on the landscape tile to show that it's been won and it can no longer be bid on again this round. So then the next player would start the bidding for one of these other things. So they could start the bidding for a prestige card, which would give you end game bonus like scoring points. You could bid on this recruitment card or a builder token or a jester token. So you can only bid on one of these things once per round. So only one person has the opportunity to win one of those things once per round. There are 6 builder tokens in total in this entire game. So the fact that, you know, you can only place builder tokens on your own player board in order, and you need 3 of them in order to, you know, make it so that buildings cost 0. In a 2-player game, you don't reduce the number of builder tokens, which I do think is a little bit problematic, but again, I'll discuss that in the review section. So after everyone has done their bidding and taken something from the board, then you go on to the action phase, and everyone gets 2 actions when it's their turn. So you can either complete a work, which means you will use one of these cards, and I'll explain that in a minute. You can build a building, so you'll take a building from the board by paying for it, and a building typically costs 700 florins. You can take a profession card, which is a card from here, so you would take 5 and then choose which one you want and put the rest at the bottom of the deck. You could introduce a freedom, so you can take one of these freedom tiles, and those have a cost of 300. Or you could acquire a bonus card. So you can take a bonus card. You can take 5 and choose one. So taking a profession card or introducing a freedom, you can only do once per action phase, but you can do the other things twice if you wanted to use both actions for those. So like if you wanted to build, you could build twice, for example, but you can only take 1 freedom token per your turn when it's your action phase, because those are limited in quantity and not everyone is going to be able to get every freedom token. So when you complete a work, you are basically looking at your various profession cards in your hand, and you are going to total up how many worker value points you get per worker when you play this card. So each worker has a different kind of landscape tile that if it's present, it'll get them 3 points. Each worker has a certain type of freedom that they prefer, and then each worker has a certain type of building that they need in the city. And then also you'll get 2 points per jester on your player board. And for each card that you have that is a recruitment card, you will get 1 point. So if you previously played a recruitment card or something, or have it in your area, you'll get 1 point for that. And then for each worker card you have in your area that was previously played, you'll get 1 point. And then the bonus cards will give you points depending on what's written on them. So if you play a bonus card in that round, the points will depend on what's written on that card. It could, you know, say something like, well, let me show an example. So like here's an example of a bonus card that says for each forest in your principality, increase the worker value by 2. So you are trying to get a high enough worker value that you can play these cards. So in each round, you can only play a worker card if its value meets or exceeds the number for that round. So in the first round, you can only play a worker card if it meets or exceeds the worker value of 7, in the second round 10, in the third round 12, and so on. So it gets higher and higher as the rounds progress. So as the rounds progress, you want to try to have more and more of these things, because that increases a worker value of a worker that you are playing. So this is of course a good way to get points. Actually, it's a good way to get money, because not everyone is going to get points from this. So after everyone has taken their actions, you are going to see who has the highest worker value for that round. And you are going to be keeping track of worker value with your pawns. So after you remove the pawns from this section, after everyone has bid on something, and you no longer need to keep track of who got what from the bidding, the auction section, then you're going to use your pawn to track your worker value. Whoever has the highest worker value will score some prestige points in that round. So the person will score, I believe it is 3 if they had the highest worker value, and then all the others will get nothing. So let me just double check, because I believe it is 3. Well, it's something like that. So only the person who scored the highest worker value will score some prestige points in that round. You can convert worker value into prestige if you want. So everyone, depending on where their worker value is, will get money equal to where they are. So if you had a worker value of 20 for that round, then you would get 200 florins. Sorry, 2,000 florins, because it's 100 for each section that you're at. So if you're at the 3, you'll get 300 florins. If you're at the 7, you'll get 700 florins, and so on. So if you had 20 worker value, you would get 2,000 florins, unless you want to convert some of your worker value into prestige points. So for every 2 spaces you go back, that would add 1 prestige point for your score if you were the highest scoring player in that round. So you are able to convert that as well. So at the end of the game, whoever has the highest prestige is going to win. So your worker value is something that will help you to gain prestige if you win in that round, but also to get money so that you can bid on things in subsequent rounds and build. So yeah, so that's essentially how it plays. The game ends after 7 rounds, and then whoever has the most prestige wins. So again, you want to just acquire different things to place into your principality, and you want those different freedoms because different workers require different freedoms, and you're not going to have enough for every player to get all 3, and you're also not going to have enough builder tokens for every player to get all 3 unless you're playing a 2-player game, which I think is kind of not great, but I'll again discuss that in a bit. So again, the first builder token will allow you to build buildings for 300 florins instead of 700. The second one will allow you to place buildings adjacent to each other. So until you get a second builder token, it can be really hard to place buildings in your principality because buildings can only go adjacent to landscape tiles, but not other buildings. And then when you get your third builder token, that's when buildings are free to build, which is really nice. So yeah, so that's how it plays, and then whoever has the most prestige at the end of the game will win. So I think in a 2-player game, they really should have limited the number of builder tokens. So I lost badly both times, so I will say that to begin with. So I started first in one game, and then in the second game, I think I started second. And in the second game, my opponent, she decided to go try to get all her builders to begin with. So she was really focused on outbidding me for builders. And so she got all 3 of her builders in the first 3 rounds. So that was really good for her and not so great for me. So I do think that in a 2-player game, you should limit the number of builders just because it would kind of simulate what a multiplayer game would be like, because in a multiplayer game with 3 or more players, not everyone is going to be able to get a builder, all 3 builders. So you are going to be limited and try to have different strategies. Different workers, again, require different kinds of buildings. So a good strategy might be to try to get workers that want the same building so that you can then, score those cards. So like this example, these workers both want this building. However, they both want different landscape tiles. But landscape tiles are easier to come by, I feel like. So I don't think that would be a huge problem. You do get points from everything. So you get points from your jester tokens on your player board. So jester tokens go over here. So you will get 2 worker values for your jester. So that will add to your worker value, which again, you need the highest worker value in order to score prestige points at the end of a round. Otherwise, your worker value is just going to give you money, which is also great because you need money. It's a really interesting game. I really liked it. I feel like it's one of those games where I feel like I wanted more rounds. And so I really enjoy games like that. I enjoy tight games like that where you kind of need to form a strategy early on and know what you're gonna do early on. But of course, because it is an auction bidding game, your strategy may not work because you may get outbid for certain things. If you really, wanted to stick to a certain kind of strategy, if you get outbid, then that's going to mess up your strategy. So you need to, then figure out another way to try to score points or get money. So, you know, you might end up low in money, but you know, playing these worker cards is really important because you need to play them in order to get money, but you also need to meet the minimum value of each round. So it is a really tight game. I really like it. Like, you really have to, you know, have a good strategy in mind and be careful about what you're doing, because these cards do get harder and harder to play as the rounds progress as well, because you need a minimum value that gets higher and higher as the rounds progress. But again, in a 2-player game, I do think that they should have limited the number of builders that are available, because by the end of the game, we each had 3 builders. So that was not an issue. But of course, for me, in the second game, getting my 3rd builder towards the end was not hugely beneficial, because it would have been more beneficial to get it earlier on if I could have. But again, that's not possible because there's 7 rounds in a game and each person has room for 3 builders, and it's the 3rd builder that makes buildings free for you to build. But really fun game. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely like to play it again, but at a higher player count. I really like Wolfgang Kramer games, and it was really nice to play a older game of his that I had never played before and actually had never heard of before. So yeah, I do recommend this game. So if you get a chance to check out the new edition of the Princes of Florence, I recommend it. Again, you know, it has different characters for you to play as, and the artwork is really cool in this game. I really like it. So yeah, I'm not sure what else I can say about this game, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's going to be available later this month or early next month to purchase. This board does have 2 sides, so I think maybe one side is to make it a bit more difficult because it's a bit smaller than the other side. I'm not really sure. And this edition does come with some expansions, so it comes with these cards, but we did not play with the expansion since it was only our first time playing. But it comes with these different character cards that you can add into the game with really cool artwork. So it has like a banker and a professor, cardinal, muse, merchant, and princess. So yeah. So I think it just gives you special abilities throughout the game. So it says the player gets money on banker card minus their bid. Starting amount on card is 600 florin. Add 100 florin each round if not taken. At game end, the player can trade money for prestige. 200 florin per prestige. So that is the banker. The professor says the player takes a free bonus card or a free prestige card. The cardinal says the player can take a 3rd action in the action phase. Oh, that's pretty cool. The muse says the player increases the worker value of each of their completed works this round by the round number. Wow, that's really good, actually. I think I would want the muse. The merchant says the player gets the winning object for free in the next auction or prestige points based on their rank on the fame track. And the princess says the player completes a work without a profession card. Each landscape +3, each building +2, each builder +2, each profession card +1. Bonus cards may not be used, and the princess does not count as a profession card herself. Oh, these are really cool. I think I would definitely want to play my next game using these special player powers. Very cool. So anyway, so yeah, so that is the Princess of Florence. So do check it out. So I'll talk about some other games I played in the last week. So I'm not going to go into detail for too many of these, but some other games I played. I played Botanique again, which I've mentioned so many times as like one of my favorite 2-player games. I think is probably at this point one of my most played games that I own, actually. I mean, probably like excluding cartographers, you know, because during the pandemic, I think I played cartographers a lot. But yeah, Botanique is a really great 2-player game from Space Cowboy, so I played that again. I played Long Shot the Dice game, a 7-player game of it, which was fun. I played Zuli again, so I think I'm up to 6 plays of Zuli now. And yeah, so I played a game called Walking in Burano. I wanted to play my roll and write edition as well, but we played the regular edition, and hopefully I will get a chance to play the roll and write soon. We were gonna play both, but then my friends were a bit tired, so we had to end game night a bit early. But Walking in Burano is a 2018 game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Wei Min Ling, and the art is done by Mei Shirley, and it's published by Emperor S4 Games and AEG. So in Walking in Burano, you're like taking these cards, so there's going to be like different columns of cards in the drafting area, and when you take a card, you can only take cards that are like you can't take a card just from the center, but you can take like the 2 bottom cards in a certain column, or the 2 top cards in a column, or just one, either the bottom or the top, or you could take, and then some coins. So you get to take 3 things in total. So you can take either 2 cards and 1 coin, 1 card and 2 coins, or yeah, I think that's it, because you can't just take 3 coins. So I think you have to take at least 1 card. And the cards represent the different levels of the houses that you're building. So there's always going to be a bottom level, a middle level, and a top level. And you want to try to create houses that are of the same color, because if they're not of the same color, then you're going to have to use one of these tokens, which will reduce your points at the end of the game. And different houses will score in different ways. And also you cannot have houses of the same color next to each other. If you do, again, you'll have to use one of these tokens that you start the game with, which will reduce your points. So essentially, if you don't use any of those tokens, you start, basically you'll get 12 points for not using them. So you want to try to avoid using them. You have 4 of these tokens that have 3 points each on them that will allow you to break one of the color rules, like adjacency rules and so on. So when it's your turn and you're the active, like the starting player, you get to decide first which, set of cards and coins, whatever you want to take, and then place them into your city. You have a maximum hand limit, I think, of 5 cards or 3 cards maybe, I cannot remember. So the game ends once someone completes their row of houses. Then you complete the round and then go to scoring. After you complete a house, like a whole house, like bottom, middle, and top, you get to choose either a tourist or like a resident to place underneath, which will decide how you get to score that building or buildings, because residents score multiple floors across all the different buildings, whereas tourists score only a certain building. So like one tourist may want to, you may want to take a certain tourist because they score more for cats and you have a lot of cats in one building. Another tourist may like flowers and one building may have a ton of flowers, and so on. Really fun game. I really enjoyed it. It was my first time actually playing it, so I really liked it, and I tied with another player, and the tiebreaker was who has the most money, and then I had the most money, so I won. But I really enjoyed it. It was really a nice, cute little game. I really liked it, so I'm really excited to play the roll and write version now, which I have. So I'm hoping that I'll even get to play a solo game of that today, I hope. So I'm going to pack it in my bag when I head to Barnes & Noble to do some work later. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this game. Another game I played recently is Everdell. So I did not bring up my big box. So my friends are huge Everdell fans, and I hadn't played Everdell since like 2018, and I have owned my own copy of Everdell now for a number of years, had never played with it. So my friends came over and we played Everdell with my copy, and it was really fun. It was like kind of new to me because I hadn't played in so many years, so there were so many things I didn't remember about it, and I really enjoyed my play of Everdell, and the artwork is just so cute and beautiful. I just absolutely love it. It's like a really tight game in which you're trying to, so it's a worker placement game in which you have a certain number of animal critters to start with, and you are placing your workers in different sections to get different resources like berries and wood and so on, and then you need those resources in order to build other cards into your play area. So on your turn you can use your critter to go to one of those locations to do something, or you can play a card and pay resources to play that card, or it may be a free card. Like if you've already built something, that may allow you to play something for free. Like for example, I paid a lot of resources to build the castle, and if I had gotten my hands on a king, I could have been able to play a king for free. So it's a really cool game. It's really hard to come by resources, and players' rounds end at different times. So like for example, you will be going and after you use up all your meeples and you cannot play any more cards, the round ends for you, and you take back all your meeples and collect your extra meeple for the next round. So your next round may be beginning before someone else's, and it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult because most spots only allow 1 meeple at a time. So if there's a really good spot and someone else's meeple is there, they're not going to be able to collect their meeples until all of their meeples are placed and they're done playing cards. So you're just kind of waiting around for this spot to open up. Like sometimes you're just waiting for someone's round to end so that you can then place a meeple in a certain spot. Like I feel like I really got screwed over that way a couple of times. So it was my first time playing in a very long time, so I ended the game before the other 2 players who are definitely more experienced experienced Everdell players, and there was a huge discrepancy in scores. Like, I think they were like way up high in like some really high numbers, and I was like in really low numbers for scoring. But I was still happy with like my little village that I created in the end. I did manage to get a castle, and I got a princess, I think. No, did I get the king? I got one or the other. So I got a castle, and I also got a palace, and then I got one of the two, either the king or the queen. I cannot remember which one. But yeah, it was really fun. It was really cute. So this inspired me to finally take out my big box, because I had backed the big old box of Everdell with all the sleeves and all the stickers and everything. So I organized all of my Everdell, like in all the expansions, because I own everything, into this big giant box. It is humongous, which is why I did not bring it up here. And I haven't stickered all the meeples. I'm still deciding if I want to sticker them or not. So I have the stickers, but I did sleeve all the cards. The cards are just beautiful, love all the sleeves, but I could not figure out which cards go with which like expansions or whatever sometimes. So I took out all the cards, and then so at first I knew which cards went with which expansions, but when I started sleeving them, then things got a little bit mixed up, and the dividers don't necessarily match up with the expansion names. Like, so for example, like Mistwood or something like that, there's no card divider with that expansion name on it. And then there's expansions that say stuff like Visitors or whatever. And so I cannot figure out where cards actually go within my organizer and how they should be divided. So I hope someone has a guide somewhere about that, because I really need to look at that. But yeah, so now my Everdell is all organized, and I'm super excited to play more games of Everdell with some of the expansions. So yeah, so I'm really hoping I get to do more of that. So that was really fun. So yeah, so I think I've covered all the games I've played recently. Oh, another game I played recently, which I should have discussed in last week's video, which I didn't, was Ticket to Ride, the UK edition. And the back of the board has upstate New York on it. So the back of the board is for Pennsylvania, but you also see like cities like Rochester on it and so on. So I'm like in Syracuse. So I definitely want to get that expansion for Ticket to Ride, just because it has all of these cities that I'm familiar with. And of course I love the UK. But I don't own a base game, so I don't know if you need like just the basic, because it's an expansion, so I think you have to provide your own trains and stuff, and you need to like look at the rules for the base game, but I actually don't own the base game of Ticket to Ride. The only Ticket to Rides I own are the Nordic countries, and then Amsterdam, and then London, I think, or is it New York? One of the other small box ones. So yeah, so those are the only Ticket to Rides I own, but the UK edition was so hard. Oh my God. It was really, really hard, because you have to acquire these different cards in order to build routes that are more than a certain number of trains. And if you want to build in like Ireland, then you need to get the Ireland card. If you want to build in Wales, then you need to get the Wales card, and so on. Really hard. I thought the Ticket to Ride UK game just went on for too long, but we were committed at a certain point. I think everyone was like a little bit like thinking a little bit, thinking that it's a bit too much, like it's just too hard and too long and too much. So yeah, I think that they're planning on culling that game actually, but it was fun in the end. I liked it in the end. But yeah, I think I'd only want to add it to my collection someday if I have money, just because of the map on the back and stuff. So yeah, so those are the games I played in the last week. So let's move on to games that I am backing. So last week I mentioned that I was backing Witchcraft and Thiefdom, and I canceled both pledges. So I canceled Witchcraft because I do think that 25th Century Games will probably pick up Witchcraft like they did with Resist, which is this publisher's previous game. So I decided to cancel my pledge for Witchcraft just because I am so utterly broke at the moment. And I also canceled my pledge for Thiefdom because I do think that, it'll come to retail and I can just get it at retail at some point. I scanned through the Kickstarter. It didn't seem like there were any Kickstarter exclusives, or if there were, I probably missed them. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just cancel my pledge for Thiefdom. I don't need it before it hits retail. It's fine. I have enough games and I'm really broke at the moment. So yeah, so I canceled my pledges for those. And currently I think Monsters of Loch Lomond is still on Kickstarter. So that has some time left. Let's see. So that's a game I had covered for its Kickstarter, and that has 3 days to go, and it has raised $16,179, which is pretty amazing. The goal was like $5,500, so that's pretty amazing. Yeah, so that is like a game like that plays a lot like Combio, if you know what Combio is. And then another game that I am pledging at $1 as well to get my production copy of is Fairies and Magical Creatures from Forbidden Games. So let me just see the information for that. So that has 12 days to go and so far has raised $71,756. So yeah, so Fairies and Magical Creatures is definitely a lighter game than their others, but has enough strategy in it if you're like a seasoned gamer to, I think that you'll enjoy it. And personally, I love the artwork in this game, like out of Lizard Wizard and Raccoon Tycoon and this game, I would say that I would rank this game's artwork as #1 now. Like, I mean, it's really hard because they're all different. Like, you know, one is lizards and one is cute animals, and then this one is more magical creatures. It's really hard to say, but the artwork in this game is just truly stunning. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I really would like some like art prints of some of the artwork that she did in this game. It's really amazing. So yeah, so I'm backing that at $1 to get my production copy of. So moving on, games that I have received. So first I will say that I still have not received my other UKGE box. I reached out to my friend to ask him if he has shipped it out yet. He read my message but did not respond. So I don't know if I should be worried or maybe he's just busy, but I'm like, oh dear, I don't think he would have stolen my games. He's a friend, that really old friend from London. I think we've been friends now for God, like how many years have we been friends for now? So almost 10 years. So yeah, we've been friends for almost 10 years now. He's one of the first friends I made when I moved to London and I started working. We worked at the same place, and then I did drag him to a couple of game nights as well, but he's not like a big gamer, so I doubt he would, or a gamer at all, I guess. So I doubt he would steal, like, I don't think any friend of mine would steal something from me, but I'm just, you know, so I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't know what happened to my games or if he will respond, but I do hope that I will receive them at some point, the rest of my UKGE haul. That would be wonderful if I get it at some point, but in the meantime, I have some other games to show. So when I was in London, I visited the Funko headquarters for Europe and the Middle East. Their office is located in London, and so I visited them last year as well, and I got to visit them again this year when I went to London, and I played one of their new Indiana Jones games, Sands of Adventure, which was super fun. So anyway, so Funko reached out to me to see if I would like any review copies of any game, so I mentioned which ones I wanted. I of course mentioned Indiana Jones Sands of Time as the #1 game I wanted, but unfortunately they were all out of review copies of that, but they sent me all the other games that I requested. So no Indiana Jones to show you guys, which is a shame because that was a really fun game. It was a really fun deck building race against time game. Maybe I will go to my Target and see if there are any copies there and just get it myself, but then again I'm like, I already have too many games and I have no money, like literally no money, so maybe I won't get it, and I'll just wait till next year and see if I can get a review copy when I go back to Funko next year. But in the meantime, I have these other Funko games to show you. So I requested some other review copies so that they did have available. So they had this one available, which I'm super excited to play, especially as I just discussed a Wolfgang Kramer game earlier. So this is Big Boss. So this is a game designed by Wolfgang Kramer. It says build your fortune from the ground up, and it's for 2 to 6 players. So let's just take a look at this. I actually have not unboxed any of these. I took off the stickers beforehand because I knew that those would be a real big pain. Oh, so unfortunately, I don't know if I can open these cards. Oh, let's see. Okay. So it comes with a bunch of cards. So yeah, just okay, there's too many to hold at once. I can't do this. Okay, so let me see what I can do here. Okay, here, let's do it this way. These are some player cards. Let me put those aside. I'm not a huge fan of the quality of these cards. I feel like they'll be a little bit hard to shuffle. They're kind of just like that papery feel. Cool artwork. It's like got like a kind of like an Art Deco vibe going on. So that's pretty cool. So those are some cards, and then here are some other cards. Oh, so these are the various building cards. So they just go in different piles. I got like a very quick demo of this game, so I honestly do not remember too much about it, but there's just a bunch of different building cards. There are a bunch of these. Let's see what these are. There's a bunch of these just regular buildings. Maybe they're toppers, I can't remember. There's a bunch of stuff in here, like money. So yeah, a bunch of money, cardboard money. And then there are some trays. So there's a board. I don't have scissors on me, so I'm not going to open this up right now. But these are pretty cool. So these are some other plastic-y pieces. And then it comes with these like antenna things that you can put on top of the buildings. So I think it's like some kind of an auction bidding game, if I remember correctly again. So yeah, so Wolfgang Kramer, I wonder if like he just loves doing auction bidding games. Who knows, maybe that's just his thing. Maybe that's his jam. So yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing this since it's a Wolfgang Kramer game. So let's just put that to the side. Another game that I asked for that I saw people playing at UKGE was Walt Disney Animation Studios Animated, a cooperative game by Prospero Hall. So I saw people playing this at UKGE and it just looked really cool. So this is the first volume 1 and it comes with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Fantasia, Alice in Wonderland, 101 Dalmatians, and Aladdin. So I am a huge Alice in Wonderland fan. I've like been collecting stuff from Alice in Wonderland for a long time. I mean, I'm probably not as big a collector as other people, but you know, I do really love Alice in Wonderland, and so it was really cool to get this game because it has the Alice in Wonderland stuff. So here is the main board, some tokens that I will need to punch out. This will need to be punched out as well, but here is the Alice in Wonderland board. It's so pretty. Here is Fantasia. Ooh, this one looks really cool too. I really like the color scheme. It's a really nice color scheme. 101 Dalmatians. Ooh, Aladdin. Really nice. Really, really nice. This is really nice. And then Snow White. Let's see what we have here. Let me try to get this open. All right, what are these? So these look like some more player boards. I think these you attach to your player boards, depending on your faction. And then what do we have? It looks like we have maybe some player screens. No, some boxes to hold cards, it looks like. Well, that's pretty cool. And then we have these. It's got like the full artwork on the back, and then some tokens, and then some more tokens, some wooden tokens. Look at the Cheshire Cat. Ooh, let me show you. The genie. I'm definitely gonna play as Alice in Wonderland, of course, because how could I not? It's got some cool like musical tokens and stuff like that. Oh, these are really cool. Oh, look at the dwarves. Oh, so cool. There's like one token for like each dwarf. That is pretty cool. Oh, and the bones for the Dalmatians. Oh, that is so cool. That is really cool. And then it's got these cool transparent cards, which are really awesome. So let me just show you those. So let's see. Snow White. Of course, because it's transparent, it's going to be a little bit. Bambi. Oh. Wait, is that Bambi? Or is that just part of Snow White? I'm like, I think it's Bambi. A broom. Or a mop, rather. Maybe it's a mop. Alice. Jasmine. Aladdin. The monkey. Do not remember the Abu. So those are cool. And then it comes with regular cards as well. So I'm a fan of old school Disney, of course, like, you know, because of my age and everything, I relate more to like, oh, can I get these open? Let's see. Yeah. I don't know if Disney even comes out with like a new big animated movie each year like they used to, like when I was a kid. I don't know. So different cards. These feel nice. These feel much nicer than the big boss scheme cards. These ones feel much nicer. Yeah. And then some more cards here. Cool. So this looks really cool. So I'm really looking forward to playing this. So yeah. So that was another game. And then, oh, look at the inside of the box. That's cool. Another game is The Goonies, Never Say Die. So I am a huge fan of the movie The Goonies. Like, I absolutely love that movie when I was younger. So this was another game I requested. The board is in plastic and I don't have scissors with me, so I'll just leave that for now. Ooh. This looks cool. Oh, look at that. It's like a map. Folds out like a map. Oh, that is so cool. That is really, really cool. It's like a reference sheet or something like on this board. Maybe a certain player gets this? A GM round. Oh, so I think maybe you have like a game master and they get this. And then it says Goonies round and then there's a token reference. That is pretty cool. Adventure guide. So I guess there's maybe different, there's different adventures you can play. So it has a total of 9 adventures. Oh, interesting. Okay. This one has instructions, so it's an instruction manual, how to play, a bunch of different tokens, and some different player boards, I guess. Different cards. Can I open this one easily? I don't know. Let's see. These ones feel a bit nicer than the Big Boss game as well. So yeah. So these are for all these cards, there we go, are for the Game Master, I guess, because it says GM on the back. And then here it says Goonies round, and then on the back of these it says like wish token. And then there are different standee thingies. I don't know what go in those, and then the different meeples. Not meeples, sorry, miniatures. Yeah, maybe I should watch The Goonies again. It's always a really good summer movie to watch. Yeah. Oh, and one more. I don't know if I showed you these ones. Maybe I did. Okay, and then it comes with some different dice, which are cool, with like skulls on them. So let me show you those. So yeah, different color dice, these ones, and then in different shapes too. So they're different colors and different shapes. So yes, that is the Goonies. And oh, let me show you the inside of the box, because the inside of the box is pretty cool. That's really cool. And then the last game is a game that I played last year when I went to the Funko office, and that is Parks and Recreation Party Game. So it actually goes against one of my, one of my biggest pet peeves in board gaming, sorry, I know I just shook the camera, is when games use the photographs and still images from TV shows and or movies instead of original artwork. So this game does have one of my biggest pet peeves in it, but it was a fun game when I played it. So, but unfortunately, like I said, it does have one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I don't want to see like pictures of actors. I'd rather just see pictures, like illustrations. Like if they could have drawn the characters, I think that would have been way more cooler. But of course, I do love this series. It's like one of my favorite series ever. So I feel like I'm a lot like Leslie in a lot of ways. And of course, I'm looking for my Ben Wyatt. So yeah. So yeah. I wonder if Ben's even in this game. Is he in this game? I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, and it comes with a little Sebastian. So I think this is plastic. And then it comes with this. So these are like different projects that you are trying to complete. It's a fun little game when I played it last year at the Funko office. And then it has some cards. Let me see. Wonder if any of my friends are also Parks and Rec fans. Wondering if I can get them to play it with me. It's a fun little game. I think it would be fun, like little game to end a game night, maybe. Yeah, not a huge fan of the card quality of these cards either. They're like more, so it's like the Big Boss game, like they're more like cardstock, but not very glossy, so they're a bit harder, gonna be a bit harder to shuffle, I think. But yeah, so this is Parks and Rec, the party game, so I'm excited to play this. I did enjoy my play of it when I was in London last year. So those are the games that I received from Funko Games recently, so I hope I'll get to play some of them and talk more about them with you guys. So moving on, so yeah, I really hope I get the rest of my UKGE haul, because included in that haul would be this one game from Hatchet Board Games, which I really want to play. It's called Rauha. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then it also includes a couple of my Pegasus Spiel games, Swindler, Kazuka, which I really want to play, and then Black Hole Buccaneers, and then it includes Village Rails from Osprey Games. I actually played Village Rails when I was in London with one of my friends who watches my videos, so hello if you're watching. So yeah, I really enjoyed Village Rails. I thought it was really good, really had a lot of fun playing it. We played it in Foyle's bookstore in London, so I really hope I get that box soon, but we'll see. So moving on, so I don't think I have any updates or anything like that right now. We did finalize a logo and a banner for FlagCon, so I guess that's an update. So we are getting closer and closer. We're going to start reaching out to sponsors, local sponsors, and I'm going to start reaching out to publishers and so on. So it's pretty cool to have an official logo and banner. I'll see if I'm allowed to share it. If I am, then I'll post it up here. So yeah, so moving on. So for questions and commentary, I didn't receive any questions, but I have a question for you guys. So I want to know which old game, and by old I mean the year 2000 or before, would you like to see come out with a new edition and new artwork? So I'm not sure if I know any old games from the year 2000 or before. Like I said, I like Wolfgang Kramer, but of course I know his more recent stuff. I did not even know about the Princes of Florence until like this arrived, and until I had a chance to play it, and then I saw that it was a game from the year 2000. I definitely was not playing hobby board games in the year 2000. So if you have been in the hobby for a really long time, or if you know of games because you know you've gone way back in the archives and have played a bunch of old games, like Rainer Knizia, I'm sure has been designing games for a very long time. So please let me know which old game that has not come out with a new edition yet that you would like to see come out with a new edition and new artwork. And if you can't go as far back as 2000, then, you know, just take liberties and just tell me which old game that hasn't come out with a new edition yet that you would like to see. Yeah, I don't know if I can think of one, because, you know, I don't think I've played that many old games. Let me think. I'm trying to think if I own any games that are older that maybe are out of print. No, I can't think of anything right now. If I think of anything, I'll come back in the next video and let you know what my answer is. But in the meantime, please leave comments below and let me know what your answer is. And until next week, bye.